Little peel back the curtain action involving Sandy Brondello, who is now the head coach for the Toronto Tempo.
Sandy Brondello's latest professional maneuver has sent seismic shockwaves through the entire WNBA. The esteemed coach, renowned for guiding championship contenders like the New York Liberty, stunned the basketball world by rejecting two powerhouse franchises, the Seattle Storm and the Dallas Wings, choosing to join an expansion team instead.
That's right, the expansion franchise. I'm still baffled that the New York Liberty moved on from her. And I still don't love the fact that the Indiana Fever didn't snatch her up.
Her stunning decision ignited a firestorm of whispers among insiders, all asking the same thing. Why? Was this a calculated play for power, an act of unwavering loyalty, or a symptom of something far more profound hidden behind the league's opaque curtain? Many are now left to question whether the Indiana Fever made a catastrophic miscalculation by overlooking her. Make no mistake, this is not merely another coaching change. It's a seismic shift poised to completely redefine the futures of Caitlin Clark, the Fever, and the very landscape of the WNBA.
Oh, but Stephanie White. Oh, but nothing. If you listen to how this lady has spoken about the most valuable asset that this league has, which is Caitlin Clark, I would think if you were a Caitlin Clark fan, this would have been your number one contender to have come coached Caitlin Clark.
When the announcement confirmed that Sandy Brondello had accepted the head coaching position for the expansion Toronto Tempo, the WNBA world was caught entirely off guard. Merely months before, she had been the strategic mind guiding one of the league's most formidable contenders, the New York Liberty. Her abrupt departure left fans utterly puzzled, sent analysts scrambling for answers, and had insiders deeply questioning what could possibly motivate a coach of her distinguished caliber to willingly walk away from one of the most talent-laden rosters in the entire league.
After shockingly parting ways with the Liberty back in September, Sandy Brondello was named the coach of the WNBA expansion Toronto, the Tempo, about a month later. Apparently, a couple of other WNBA teams made offers to the coach, but she turned them down in order to start fresh with a new team. According to Front Office Sports, the Wings and the Storm.
Brondello was not dismissed in disgrace or forced out due to a string of poor results. She was in fact released after masterfully constructing one of the most cohesive and offensively potent teams in the entire WNBA, a fact that only served to deepen the mystery surrounding her exit. Consequently, when Toronto officially announced her hiring, the resulting headlines didn't merely celebrate a new chapter for the expansion franchise. They immediately began to question the entire narrative.
During her introductory press conference, to build a team from the ground up that really excited me. There's a lot of alignment, but in the end, it was about the partnership. I knew of Tempo general manager Monica Wright Rogers, just the person she is and how she goes about her day to day. That was the partnership, the collaboration. It just felt right.
Why would she consciously forsake established, talent-rich rosters for the daunting uncertainty of a blank slate with an expansion team? Why willingly embrace the immense challenge of building a franchise from the ground up when she had already definitively proven her capability to compete for championships in the present moment? For a significant number of observers, this felt less like a conventional career move and more like a profound statement, a statement that perhaps hinted at a desire for liberation from the specific pressures or personalities that tend to dominate the league's most elite and established franchises.
Reasoning to land in Toronto was partially due to how she bonded with the front office there. Quote, "This is a place I wanted to be," Brondello said.
The official announcement included a polished quote from Brondello herself, in which she emphasized the profound value she placed on her connection with Toronto's front office, particularly with general manager Monica Wright Rogers. She spoke of shared values, a spirit of collaboration, and the invigorating excitement of shaping a new team culture from its very inception. Yet beneath the sterile, carefully crafted tone of the press release, discerning fans sensed something deeper at play, a palpable desire for control, for a surge of fresh, unencumbered energy, or perhaps for a complete reset after feeling constrained and boxed in by the entrenched politics of established teams. Even seasoned veteran analysts concurred. This was not a typical coaching transition. This was a significant reshuffling of power, a coach resolutely reclaiming her voice. And while the city of Toronto celebrated its monumental acquisition, two other prominent franchises, the Dallas Wings and the Seattle Storm, were left to ponder why their own compelling offers had ultimately proven insufficient. That lingering question, in and of itself, strongly hinted that there was far more to this decision than anyone was publicly willing to admit.
The Dallas Wings already hired a replacement for Chris Coaklanes, who they fired after just one season. That was a ripoff of Rick James going, "Cocaine." If you ever watched the Chappelle Show. Dallas hired longtime USF women's basketball coach Jose Fernandez the day after the news dropped about Brondello heading to Toronto. The Storm just hired Sonia Raymond after they parted with Noelle Quinn in September.
Before Sandy Brondello ever affixed her signature to a contract with the Toronto Tempo, two major WNBA teams had her name prominently situated at the very top of their wish lists, the Dallas Wings and the Seattle Storm. Both franchises were fully prepared to bring her in immediately, offering competitive contracts, formidable rosters, and the enticing opportunity to contend for a championship right away. According to reports, at least one of those teams even offered her more substantial financial compensation than Toronto ultimately did. Yet in a move that completely baffled executives across the league, Brondello turned both of them down. For a coach renowned for her ambition, walking away from championship caliber opportunities made everyone pause and critically question what she was truly after. The Wings were especially eager. After firing head coach Latricia Trammell following a disappointing season, they craved stability, veteran leadership, and a proven winner who could maximize the potential of their young stars. The Seattle Storm, meanwhile, were in the process of rebuilding after the conclusion of the Sue Bird era and saw Brondello as the perfect figure to restore their storied legacy. On paper, both jobs offered more immediate pathways to success than taking over an expansion franchise that had not even played a single game. But Brondello perceived something different. In subsequent interviews, she described Toronto as a place where she could meticulously build from the ground up, placing a strong emphasis on collaboration and trust. Her burgeoning partnership with Tempo general manager Monica Wright-Rogers appeared to be the decisive factor. The two reportedly shared a unified vision for creating a culture centered on accountability, creativity, and respect, values that Brondello subtly hinted were conspicuously missing in her previous coaching stops. Insiders believe that beyond the realm of basketball, this decision was fundamentally about freedom. After years of coaching within systems frequently controlled by star-driven egos and pervasive front office politics, Brondello may have craved a clean slate, a place where her voice truly mattered. She was not merely chasing trophies, she was meticulously building an empire her way. For Dallas and Seattle, it was a tough pill to swallow. For Toronto, it was a statement signing, a clear signal that the league's most respected coach was ready to instigate a revolution entirely on her own terms. While the Dallas Wings and Seattle Storm were left reeling with disappointment, another team's name consistently surfaced in fan discussions: the Indiana Fever. Many could not help but wonder how profoundly different things might have been if Sandy Brondello had been the one coaching Caitlin Clark. After all, Brondello possesses a long and distinguished history of developing elite guards, mentoring effective leaders, and constructing offensive systems around elite playmakers. Her calm, authoritative demeanor and tactical flexibility could have been the exact formula the Fever needed to transform their raw potential into sustained dominance. Yet somehow the organization looked elsewhere, and fans are still vehemently questioning that fateful decision. When the Fever ultimately opted for Stephanie White, it seemed like a safe and familiar choice, but safe is not always synonymous with smart. White's coaching style, while structured, has not always meshed seamlessly with the dynamic creative freedom upon which Clark thrives. Brondello, on the other hand, built her entire career around the delicate art of balancing structure with creativity. She knew precisely how to design offenses that empowered stars to shine while simultaneously keeping their teammates actively involved. Her innate ability to communicate, adapt, and nurture confidence could have been a game changer for Clark's often turbulent rookie transition. Even more frustrating for Fever fans is how publicly Brondello has spoken about respecting Caitlin Clark's monumental impact on the league. She recognizes Clark not just as a player, but as a phenomenon capable of altering the entire trajectory of the WNBA. That kind of unwavering belief from a veteran coach could have elevated the entire locker room, strengthened the team's chemistry, and shielded Clark from much of the unnecessary tension that surrounded her debut season. The Fever's decision may have inadvertently opened the door to a period of instability. With White still under intense scrutiny and the roster in a state of flux, it is difficult not to imagine what a Brondello-led Fever could have achieved. She possessed the requisite experience, the universal respect, and the emotional intelligence to lead a team through chaos. Now, as Toronto moves forward with her vision, the Fever might one day look back and realize they passed on the single best coaching fit their franchise could have ever asked for. Even with the coaching questions looming large over the Indiana Fever, one undeniable fact provides them with a powerful edge heading into the free agency period. Unlike most teams in the WNBA, the Fever possess something exceedingly rare. While nearly every other franchise is bracing for massive roster changes due to the expiring collective bargaining agreement (CBA), Indiana enters the offseason with three cornerstone players still on their rookie contracts: Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and another key young player. In a league where salary flexibility is tantamount to gold, that unique combination of burgeoning talent and affordable contracts places the Fever in a uniquely strong and enviable position. This distinct advantage means Indiana can attract premier free agents with a compelling and irresistible pitch. Come play with the two most exciting young stars in all of basketball. For veterans looking to rejuvenate their careers or chase a renewed sense of relevance, there is no brighter spotlight right now than the one shining so intensely on Caitlin Clark. Every single game the Fever play draws national attention, generates viral clips, and sparks endorsement conversations that ripple far beyond the world of basketball. That kind of exposure can transform an athlete's market value overnight. Financially, the Fever can outmaneuver other teams that are struggling under severe salary cap constraints. Having multiple rookie-scale contracts allows them to strategically invest in depth, defense, and veteran leadership without having to sacrifice their star power. It is the kind of long-term stability that teams dream about, but very rarely achieve. Still, this advantage comes with its own set of pressures. With so many eyes fixated on Clark and Boston, the Fever cannot afford to squander this precious window by surrounding them with poor fits or clashing personalities. The real challenge is not in finding players who want to play in Indiana. It is in choosing the ones who can adeptly handle the immense attention that invariably comes with it. As one analyst aptly put it, you're not just joining a team, you're joining the Caitlin Clark show. That spotlight can either make or break careers. And while the Fever are in a prime position to dominate the offseason, how they choose to utilize this advantage could ultimately determine whether they rise as a formidable dynasty or crumble under the immense weight of their own potential. Among all the uncertainties swirling around the Indiana Fever, one name stands out more than most: Sophie Cunningham. Her future with the team has become one of the biggest question marks of the offseason. Once viewed as the perfect complement to Caitlin Clark's style and intensity, Sophie's recent public comments have sparked widespread speculation that her time in Indiana might be drawing to a close. She has hinted at frustration, at opportunity, and perhaps even at a newfound sense of leverage, leaving fans to wonder whether she is preparing to walk away or simply negotiating from a position of considerable power. Cunningham is not just another player, she is a culture setter. Her infectious energy, her penchant for trash talk, and her fearless attitude make her a natural spark plug, both on and off the court. Pairing that fiery disposition with Clark's cool poise and precision was supposed to create a dynamic and formidable balance. For much of the season, it did, but as the year wore on, the outside noise and social media backlash, especially from rival fan bases, seemed to target Sophie more than anyone else on the roster. Some fans claimed she was merely riding Clark's coattails of popularity, while others accused her of using the spotlight to brazenly boost her own brand. The truth is that relentless attention may have taken its toll. Insiders suggest that her recent remarks were not necessarily signs of disloyalty but rather classic negotiation tactics. In professional sports, it is commonplace for players to stir public interest interest in order to push for more favorable deals, and Sophie is certainly savvy enough to understand that. Still, the timing is crucial, with the Fever's roster stability hanging precariously in the balance. Losing someone as emotionally charged and battle-tested as Cunningham could shift the entire team dynamic. If the front office handles this situation incorrectly, they risk alienating not just Sophie, but also the legions of fans who have rallied around her fiery spirit. And if they let her walk, they could lose more than just a sharpshooter. They could lose the very heart that keeps their competitive fire alive. Whether this saga concludes with a new contract or a new chapter, one thing is certain: Sophie Cunningham's decision will ripple through the Fever organization long after the ink on any agreement has dried. Behind the Indiana Fever's promising young roster lies a truth that the cameras rarely capture: rising egos and silent tensions simmering just beneath the surface. Success inevitably brings attention, and attention invariably brings expectations. When Caitlin Clark entered the league, she did not just become the face of the franchise, she became its center of gravity. Every single player around her felt that profound shift, whether they openly admitted it or not. For some, it was a source of motivation. For others, it was a quiet building frustration, escalating game after game. Kelsey Mitchell is one name that constantly comes up in whispers around the league. A fierce competitor and a proven scorer, she has long seen herself as a primary offensive option. But with Clark's arrival, her role has changed dramatically. Astute analysts have noticed moments on the court where communication breaks down, where possessions end with visible frustration instead of seamless chemistry. It is not drama in the traditional sense, it is the natural, unavoidable clash that occurs when stars overlap and leadership roles are not clearly defined. Then there is the dynamic with Aaliyah Boston, the anchor of the Fever's front court, loyal and quiet, but even she has faced the challenge of balancing her identity as a cornerstone player with Clark's meteoric rise in popularity. When one teammate's highlights completely dominate the national media, the others inevitably feel overlooked. No matter how close they are on a personal level, the pressing question is whether head coach Stephanie White can effectively manage those burgeoning personalities before the locker room begins to fracture. It is a delicate balancing act, feeding everyone's confidence while simultaneously maintaining a clear and effective hierarchy. Brondello's veteran leadership might have diffused this tension naturally. White, by contrast, is still learning how to control the storm, and that is precisely what makes this moment so pivotal. If the Fever can successfully channel their competitive fire into a sense of unity, they could become an unstoppable force. But if pride continues to outweigh purpose, this young super team could implode before it ever has the chance to fulfill its immense promise. For Stephanie White, this season is not just about wins and losses, it is a defining moment in her coaching career. The spotlight that once belonged to her has shifted almost entirely to Caitlin Clark, and now every single decision White makes is meticulously dissected by analysts, fans, and even former players. When the Indiana Fever passed on Sandy Brondello and chose White instead, it sent a clear message that the franchise valued familiarity over innovation. But as the season unfolded, that choice began to draw more criticism than confidence. White's system, rooted in structure and traditional play calling, often feels at odds with Clark's free-flowing creativity. There are moments when Clark thrives in chaos, reading defenses, improvising, and creating opportunities out of thin air. Yet under White's more rigid schemes, those instincts are sometimes muted. Fans can sense the disconnect. They have seen flashes of sheer brilliance from Clark, only for the offense to completely stall in the very next game. It is not that White lacks basketball IQ, it is that her coaching philosophy may not align with the generational talent she has been tasked to develop. Meanwhile, the comparisons to Sandy Brondello have not stopped. Brondello is known for empowering her guards and for fostering a culture of trust. Her teams play with a sense of poise and cohesion, something that Indiana has struggled to consistently maintain. It has become impossible not to wonder if Brondello would have been the stabilizing force that Clark needed, a mentor who could have skillfully blended discipline with freedom. White has a chance to silence her critics by proving that she can adapt. That means evolving her system, redefining leadership roles, and seizing control of the narrative before it controls her. The pressure is immense, but so is the opportunity. Every great franchise faces a crossroads, and for White, this is hers. Whether she emerges as the architect of a dynasty or as the symbol of a missed opportunity will depend entirely on what she does next. Every decision made within the Indiana Fever organization, Every signing, every trade, every coaching adjustment inevitably circles back to one person, Caitlin Clark. Her arrival did not just boost ticket sales or TV ratings, it reshaped the entire WNBA landscape. Yet as the dust settles from Sandy Brondello's surprising choice, and the Fever's internal questions grow louder, one has to wonder what all of this means for Clark's long-term legacy. She is not just a player adapting to a new league, she is a young superstar carrying the weight of an entire sport's future on her shoulders. Had Brondello been chosen as head coach, the story might have played out differently. Brondello's track record with guards suggests she could have built an offense perfectly tailored to Clark's instincts, one that emphasizes flow, trust, and precision over rigid play calling. Instead, Clark finds herself in a system that is still figuring out how to best utilize her generational skill set. She is producing at a historic level, but often in spite of the system, rather than because of it. That friction, while uncomfortable, might be the very thing that defines her growth. In some ways, Clark's situation mirrors that of the greats who came before her, legends who faced resistance before they ultimately redefined the game. Every misstep by the front office, every public clash, and every moment of doubt adds another layer to her story. And that story is already becoming the most watched narrative in women's basketball. Still, the Fever's choices will directly impact how history remembers her early years. A supportive visionary coach could accelerate her rise to dominance. The wrong fit could stunt what might have been a dynasty in the making. Fans can only hope that Indiana learns quickly, because Caitlin Clark's prime will not wait forever. Whether she becomes the WNBA's savior or another symbol of wasted potential depends entirely on what happens next, both on the court and behind closed doors. Sandy Brondello's decision to reject the Seattle Storm and Dallas Wings was not just a career move, it was a message. She chose freedom over familiarity, vision over comfort, and a fresh start over ready-made success. Meanwhile, the Indiana Fever's missed opportunity looms large as they navigate locker room tensions and coaching uncertainty. Caitlin Clark's rise continues to captivate the league, but her future depends on the stability that surrounds her. In the end, Brondello's bold choice may redefine not only her own legacy, but the entire balance of power within the WNBA for years to come.